Hey y'all, so today I am going to be showing you the top 20 books I want to read in 2020. It's a new decade. I have a whole list of books that I am dying to read this next year. So it is December 29th right now, almost December 30th actually. It will be very, very soon. I'm just ready. I am so ready for this new year. I'm ready to start new reading goals. Sorry, I'm trying to mess with my camera, it's a little weird. I have a whole stack and I am so ready to tell you what I want to read. So let's start with the first one. The first one that I want to read is A Little Life by Hanya, and I'm so sorry I can't pronounce her last name. Oh my god, I should have looked that up. I'm so sorry. Basically, I want to read this because I've heard it's super sad, and I know that sounds crazy, like why would I want to read a book that is going to utterly break my heart, but I've been in a mood lately to read something really sad. This has been kind of calling my name, and I've heard that it just utterly destroys you. I've also heard that people absolutely love it, even though it does break your heart and make you cry. People also are obsessed with it. So I am definitely wanting to read this bad boy in 2020, hopefully soon in 2020, but most definitely this is one of my big goals, and I will vlog the whole thing. I hope to vlog for most of these, but didn't vlog as much this year because I had started school full-time again. Everything got super busy and chaotic, so I did not get to vlog as much as I did in 2018, but I would most definitely be vlogging this one. So the next book that I want to read, now these are going to be some fantasies. I want to get back into reading more fantasies and even some sci-fi. I have utterly missed fantasies this past year. I did not read a ton, and I definitely want to get back into reading a lot of fantasies because the first year of booktube I read pretty much nothing but fantasy, and I want to pick that back up. I miss them, and I want to do some adult fantasy instead of YA. I mean, I do want to read YA fantasy, but more adult fantasy. So first one I have for that is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I have actually read some of this. I read that much. I basically, almost to page 100. I'm on 95. I really want to continue with this. It was really good when I was reading it, and I don't know, I think I started school and things just got crazy and I had to stop, but it was just something that I've been wanting to get into for the longest time, just the whole trilogy. I just have not gotten around to it, so I definitely want to read the Mistborn trilogy, and I want to read more Brandon Sanderson this year because I just hear such good things about him, and I do enjoy fantasy and sci-fi. I have a feeling that I will absolutely love his books when I give myself the time to sit and read them. So that's the problem, making time to read them, which is a big 2020 resolution that I have, is to make more time to read. Because I only read 50 books last year. 50 is not the best that I have done, and it was really sad that I couldn't read more than that, but I am proud of what I got done. I just had a higher expectation for myself, but I really want to finish this and continue on with the series this year. There is that one. The next one is another adult fantasy series, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This is just another adult fantasy. Basically, I think that this revolves around assassins or soldiers, and it follows a female character named Ren. She is basically just getting trained to be an assassin, and I have heard that this book has a lot of trigger warnings in it, like rape and murder and all of the things that could possibly be triggering. I have heard it is in it, and that it is a excellent fantasy, but also just hard-hitting as well. So I definitely want to get into this. I have wanted to read this for such a long time. I don't know why I could not get into a fantasy this year, but I just couldn't. So like I said, big goal is to really kick ass in reading fantasies this next year, because the thrillers have consumed my life, and I don't want to stop reading thrillers, but I definitely want to read more fantasies. So there is this one. The next book that I want to read in the year of 2020, probably January of 2020, is The Toll by Neil Shusterman. I have read Sath and Thunderhead, and this recently just came out, and I am so excited to read it. I have never been so hyped about reading a fantasy. This is the third and final book in the Scythe series, and the Sath series is basically just a world where people don't die anymore. They figured out the solution to dying. However, there are a select few people, I guess, who are picked by sides, and they kill these people. But you don't die of natural causes anymore. But basically, that is all I can really say. I can't really get into the plot of this one without giving spoilers, so I'm just gonna explain the plot of the first one. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a YA fantasy series, and Neil Shusterman is literally just the master. I love his writing. I want to read so many more books by him. If you haven't read the Scythe series, please pick it up. It is hyped up, but I feel like it is worth the hype so much. And I actually was not going to pick up the series, but something in me was telling me to, and I am so glad that I picked it up. I would have regretted it forever and ever and ever if I would have never picked this up. But this is definitely on my January TBR list for sure. The next book that I will be reading more than likely in January of 2020 is Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. I have read the first 2 books in the Diviners series. The last book of this series comes out in February. I am so excited. Like, I cannot explain my excitement, and I have to read this book before the book comes out. So I'm glad that I waited until like a month before it comes out, because that way I'm caught up. I'm not like having to wonder if I'm gonna remember everything. So I'm glad that I waited, but I can't wait much longer because time is running out and I've got to finish this. I've started it a couple of times and never finished it. And when I say started, I mean like literally gotten to like page like 20. For some reason, just never continued.
Yeah, Evie makes me crazy.
Yeah, Evie.
I had to DNF it.
Yeah, Evie is absolutely annoying in this. I cannot stand her, but everybody else I absolutely love. You have to read Layer of Dreams. That book is good. You have to read it.
I need to try again.
So I'm super excited to read this. I've heard this will utterly destroy me, so I'm ready. That's why I have been procrastinating reading this, because I know it's going to hurt my feelings, but I'm ready for it. So the next book that I want to read in the year 2020 is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Marin. So sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I really want to read this. I've said that in every single one that I really want to read this, or else it wouldn't be in this video, would it, Lindsay? Anyways, basically I've heard that this is a YA fantasy, and it's kind of just like an angsty love story that has fantasy elements in it, and I have just heard that it's really good, and I'm dying to read it. So hopefully I read this early in the year as well. I want to read so many fantasies right now, it's not even funny. Like, I am so ready to read all of these, but hopefully I get to this sooner rather than later. Hopefully I get to all of these sooner rather than later, but definitely is a top priority. The next book that I want to read is Never Not by Jay Kristoff. I have heard such good things about this. I picked this up before and read like the prologue and then the first chapter, and I couldn't get into it, but I have been told to skip the first chapter, that it's horrible. I'm not gonna skip it, but I am gonna like really read past it and just ignore it the best that I can. Everybody says it's like not the best. I definitely want to push through that chapter and continue reading it, because I've just heard that it's really good, and this is about assassins. She, the main character, Mia, is a trained assassin, and that's pretty much all I know about it. I know that it's dark, and I know that there is some trigger warnings. I think there's rape in this, so beware of that, but I want to read the whole trilogy. So there's Never Not, there's God's Grave, and then there's Dark Dawn, and I have all 3, so I'm ready for it. The next book that I want to read is Capturing the Devil by Carrie Maniscalco. I love this series, Stalking Jack the Ripper series, absolutely obsessed with it, and I've actually started reading this. I am on page 132. I'm in it, like I am definitely in the book, but I just haven't finished it yet, and I think I'm procrastinating because I don't want this to end. I love Audrey Rose and Thomas Cresswell. They are forever my top couple. I just love them together. Such a healthy relationship. This is what I strive for my relationship to be like with my future boyfriend, husband. This is what I want. So, and also the fact that she's like a medical examiner in the 1800s is such a big deal, and it just shows what she goes through and struggles with as a woman. It's just a really good series. For me, I love it. There's mystery, there's intrigue and thrilling aspects and romance, and it's amazing. So I just am procrastinating because I don't want this to be over, because I'm gonna be so sad, even though I can reread all of them. But I am glad she's ending it when she's ending it, because I feel like some authors don't know when to end series. It's time. So even though I'm sad about it, I do completely think that she's right for ending it. But the next book that I want to read this year is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I told you there would be some Brandon Sanderson books in this pile because I really want to get into his books. And this is a sci-fi book, and this spot follows a woman named Spensa. She is basically training in space, and that's all I know about it. She's just like in flight school. So that is what this book revolves around, and I am so excited to read this. I think the cover is beautiful. I also like the UK edition, and I really want to get that as well. But yeah, I'm obsessed with this cover. I think it's beautiful, and I just really want to get into the series. And the second book, I think it's Starlight, came out just recently, so I really want to get that book as well. I am so ready to get into this series. I'm so ready to get all of these series. I'm so excited for this year, you guys. The next book I want to get to is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is the last book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. I just don't think I want to read this because, first of all, I burnt myself out on the Mortal Instruments or the Shadowhunter Chronicles books. Like, I literally binge read these books in a very short amount of time, and therefore I kind of got tired of it. So you can see my bookmark coming out of it. I got to page 12 in this, but I want to finish this because the Infernal Devices series I love. I'm obsessed with it. The Mortal Instruments series, not so much, but I do absolutely love the Infernal Devices series. So I don't know why it took me so long to stop or to continue on with this. Also, I love the characters in this book and I don't want it to end. And I have a feeling this is gonna break my fucking heart, but it is what it is. I also want to read Lady Midnight. I want to start the Dark Artifices series, and I want to continue with, or finish off, the Mortal Instruments, which is my next book, which is City of Heavenly Fire. So, but this is a beast. She's a beast, but I do want to finish these. I want to get them done. I want to say that I've read the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices series. I want to read so many, y'all. I also just want to point out that I would like to continue on with the Throne of Glass series. I want to read Air of Fire. There was another one. This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I'm dying to read that duology. I just wanted to point that out real quick. Sorry, I'm adding books, I know. And then the next book that I'd like to read is Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I read A Darker Shade of Magic a long time ago, like January of 2018, and I have not continued, but I want to. I'm really wanting to, and I just have not gotten around to it, but I love Victoria Schwab. I love her writing. I love Vicious and Vengeful. They are so fucking good, and I love it so much. I also love A Darker Shade of Magic, and I love City of Ghosts. She just writes some really good books. She is the shit. I'm obsessed with her writing and her storytelling and all of it, characters, all of it. So I love her, and I want to read more of her books. I want to finish the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. Oh, and I also want to do a reread of the Harry Potter series. I have the illustrated version, all 4 so far up there, and I want to read those. But the next book that I'd like to read this year is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I am so excited to read this. I honestly don't know really much about it, but I just know that it is a very loved series, and I have all 3 books, and I am dying to get started, and I don't know why it takes me so long with these fantasy series this past year. I don't know why I haven't read more. Most of these books, pretty much all of them except a couple, are fantasy. So I've deprived myself so long, and now I'm just craving it. So I need to quit doing that to myself. I'm clearly hurting myself by doing that. So definitely a book that I have on my list. The next book I have is another adult fantasy, and that is Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. I have the whole trilogy of this in my bookshelf. It's over there. I have Grey Sister and Holy Sister, so I am prepared to read this, and I want to get started reading this one very soon. It just looks so amazing, and it's just basically about badass nuns. Who the fuck? That's all I need. That's all I need. I'm good. I'm sold. Like, I'm ready. So that's all I needed to hear when Emily Fox told her audience about this series. I'm sold. So that's all I needed. So the next book that I want to talk about is Middlegame by Shauna McGuire. This is an adult fantasy, and I don't know what this is about. So I just have heard Middlegame. I really want to read this coming year. I think it's going to be good. And Books with Lala really liked it, and I generally like a lot of the same things that she likes, so I feel like I'm going to enjoy it. I'm trying to go a little faster with these. The next book I'd like to read this coming year is Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend. I read Nevermore a little while back, and I definitely want to get started on the second book. I just haven't gotten started on it, but I am obsessed with this. It's a middle grade fantasy. The characters are great, and it is just definitely something that made me really happy when I read it, and it ended on a cliffhanger, so I want to know what happens, and I think this is going to be like a large series. Like, it's gonna have a lot of books, and that's perfect because that's what I want, and the cover itself is just so cute. I definitely want to continue on. So the next book I want to read is Not Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is actually one of the first books that I bought for book 2 because of Clockwork reader Hannah. She is obsessed with this book. I think it's like her favorite book ever, or one of her favorite books, so I just haven't gotten around to reading it, and I just like, I hear it's about magic and that it's a very lyrical type of book. So, and Erin Morgenstern just came out with a new book called Starless Sea. Might be wrong about that, but I think that's what it's called, and I definitely want to read it. So I just want to get into this book. I'm finally ready to sit down and commit. I will hopefully be reading this year. I'm going to talk about the last fantasy on this book. I have 2 more books after this one, but this is the last fantasy, and that is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 3rd Brandon Sanderson on this list, and I hope to get more of his books, but I really want to get into this series, the Stormlight Archive. I'm so ready to read this. I have had it sitting on my bookshelf for a long time, and I have not gotten into it yet. I've gotten to page 50, and then I stopped. I don't know why that keeps happening with his books. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but this is a bad boy right here. He's thick. I've been a little intimidated by this, but I definitely want to get it read this year, so it is on my priorities list. I am ready to get this bad boy read and to start this series. It's going to be like a 10-book series, and there's only 3 books out, and it takes them a long time to write these, obviously, but I'm ready for them. 2 more books, and then we'll be done. The next book I want to talk about is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. I am dying to read this. I've actually started this one too very recently, like this break, and I got to chapter 5 and I just stopped for some reason. I think I'm nervous to read this because everybody loves it and I'm scared I won't. I really want to read it. It's basically following a guy who keeps reliving the same day over and over again, and there is like somebody that's getting murdered and he ends up in a different body every single day. That sounds fucking hella interesting, so I'm super excited about that. I do want to get to it, so this will be a book that I get to in 2020 for sure. And then the last book that I'd like to read, definitely in 2020, I want to read a shit ton more, but just sitting here in my lap at this moment, is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I really want to try reading more historical fictions. I actually have a few on my bookshelf that I want to get to. I feel like this is one that I should start with to get myself into it, because I've just heard people like absolutely love this book. So I want to see if I love it too, and I want to try to get into historical fiction. I have been intimidated by them. I don't know why. I think I'm scared I'm going to be bored, or you know, something like that, and that it's gonna be like hard to get through. I want to at least try, so I have this ready, and yeah, hopefully I get to it very soon. But those are all of the books that I want to read in the year 2020. 20 books that are on my top priority to read in 2020, and hopefully I read all of them. If I don't, we'll do a video at the end of the year showing what I read, what I didn't read, and how I felt. Hopefully some of these, maybe all of them, will be in my favorites books, or my favorites video of 2020. That is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see y'all later. Bye!